everybody, welcome back to another Talking Wolves podcast. It's Dave, and today I'm alongside Matt Cooper. Matt, how's it going, man?
Very well, thank you, mate. It's good to be back with the footballs on. It feels like an eternity, but it's good to be back and being able to talk about stuff that's actually happened that's meaningful, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, today, guys, we're going to be talking about, obviously, the first 3 games since the Premier League restart. It's been a good start for Wolves. Obviously, we'll go over that a little bit more. And then we'll just obviously be talking about what else has been going on in and around the Molineux and the footballing world. First of all, be sure to go and check out our channel partners over at Pitch Football. They're sponsoring the podcast. A fantastic app to go and check out. Football app, which you can engage with other fans on. You can pick your predicted team, select who you think is going to win, and they do so much other cool stuff as well. So yeah, on the App Store or Google Play Store, just type in Pitch Football and you'll be able to download that app as well. Matt, as well, I'll let you talk about it a little bit. We did launch our new website as well over the last few weeks or so, and things are looking good at the moment.
Yeah, it's been a huge success, really. We've got, I think we've got about 29 or 30 pieces of content out in the last month, which is it's a tremendous effort. So thank you to everyone who has contributed, and thanks to those who are reading them. We've had nearly 3,000 people on the site this month reading our leading articles. If you are interested in writing for us and got a background in writing or journalism student that wants to get into it, then either drop Talking Wolves or myself or Dave a message and get involved. But yeah, it's been really, really good. We're going to try and keep up with it, keep as much content as we can, but not just content that's what you see usually, like a match report where someone just tells you what happened. They're going to tell you what happened and why. We want it to cause a bit of debate and a bit of opinion. But yeah, thanks for visiting, guys, and keep your eyes peeled. There'll be more content coming in the next coming days.
Yeah, for sure. Really looking forward to it, and like Matt said, I do appreciate everyone tuning in and dropping support on that. So we're gonna be, as I said, we're gonna be talking about the restart for Wolves. Obviously, we saw the fixtures, we knew the fixtures, and of course, plenty of you listening to the last podcast sort of. We gave it a quick preview of that. So it was West Ham United away, Bournemouth at home, and Aston Villa away. 3 games for Wolves on paper. We should be winning, but that us actually winning them was another thing. But Matt, we start off with the West Ham game just over a week ago now, and Wolves actually getting a 2-0 win to kick off the restart.
It was like we'd never been away. It was a comprehensive performance. Exactly how I expected it to pan out. Sit tight for 55, 60 minutes, then bring Adama and Neto on and really go for it. And I know West Ham are struggling, they've got injuries, but they're a proven Premier League side. They've been in a division, or kind of not making the numbers up, but they've been there for a good few years now, and to go there and to beat them in the last 4 games I think it shows how far we've come. But again, tactically, Nuno had it spot on. Everyone cries for Adama from the start, and I'm probably guilty of that too. But it just shows that it was the right choice by picking up a 2-0 win, and what a goal from Neto at the end, Christ.
Fantastic volley as well. And like you say, I think every team that we came up against since the restart so far, they've had a point to prove, really. And all 3 of them are struggling. All 3 of them are fighting relegation at the moment. And West Ham United, I'd probably say, they just didn't offer a lot, did they? I think with them, and I think you could say with Bournemouth and Villa as well, attacking wise is really letting them down. They haven't got someone up there that they can rely on to score goals, especially West Ham. They're relying on Mikel Antonio, who he tried his hardest, but he just had no option. He had no sniff. So, like you say, Jimenez back on the score sheet. Adama with another cross there, and then Neto, like you say, what a volley that was. I don't think anyone's expecting that. The way he sort of waited for that to come over.
It's not easy.
You
can see him like adjusting his feet because he's anticipating it. And I know Jimenez has played a part in that too. Great cross from top, but Jimenez has he's probably had a shout from Neto to leave it, but the way he kind of adjusted his feet just as he's about to strike the ball so it's a fantastic strike, and it was unstoppable. It would have been past Fabianski before he even saw it, but again, Neto's come back and he impressed before the break, but bloody hell, he's been even better after the break.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Bournemouth game in a minute, but I've said it plenty of times, the fact that Wolves now have obviously we've got these extra substitutes, but the fact now we've got the likes of Adama who can come off the bench if we're starting with Donk. You've got Neto, you've got Podence. You know, for me, they're three wingers there, or three attackers that could walk into plenty of Premier League sides. I'm not going to say the top Premier League sides, but probably most teams, if not all the teams outside the top six, those three could easily play a part in and make a difference for the rest of the squads in the Premier League. So the fact that, you know, how far Wolves have come in I'm not going to say our squad depth is still great, because it's not. We could do, you know, we've only used 19, 20 players in the Premier League all season. But the options now, especially going forward, the options we do have whilst everyone's fit is different level.
The 15 or 16 players that we have, obviously including the starting 11, are really, really good. And Nuno, he's shown in the past he likes cover in those positions, the wide positions and the fullback positions. I think we could potentially get more cover at fullback with only Vinagre really who can play there, but Matheson coming in too, we don't know what kind of impact he's going to have. But having Neto and Podence to come off the bench, it's a stark contrast to Cavaleiro and Costa. They played a massive part in Wolves coming up, especially Cav, but you compare Neto and Podence to Cav and Costa, and they're just completely different animals. Like, you expect Neto, probably more so than Podence, because we've not seen a lot of him, to come off the bench and make a difference and change the game. And more often than not, he has, where I don't think you could say that about Cav and Costa. So it's definitely an upgrade, and probably for less money, I would assume, if you discounted Jourdain out the deal. So it's brilliant business, and kudos to the scouting team, because to pick Neto up, who's played 4 or 5 senior games, first team games before coming to Wolves, it's a beautiful bit of business.
Yeah, and the fact, you know, he's arguably been one of Wolves', you know, better players, and you could say one of the signings of the season for Wolves. I think earlier in the season, you know, when we came up to Christmas, everyone sort of wrote off that summer window, didn't they?
Yeah.
We brought in Vallejo, Cutrone and co, and everyone thought, you know, it's probably one of our worst transfer windows under the Fosun regime, but Neto has definitely been one of those sort of the gems out of those signings, and really shown that now, and it's arguably could be knocking on the door for a first team spot and a start.
Jota's got to be worried because the performances he's turned in since the restart, and it's always the same with Jota when we've had a break or it's the start of the season. It's always nearly but not quite, and I think with Neto breathing down his neck, he's only going to be a positive for him to kind of turn around his form. But failing that, previously we've had to stick with Jota because there's been no one better, but Neto's been waiting in the wings, taking his opportunity so well. So yeah, it's great to have such good cover in the wide positions where we're arguably probably our most potent out wide.
Yeah, I agree. And the fact that as well that Wolves, not once but twice since the restart, Matt, have been able to sort of play that three in the middle and look really, really sound with it. I think Nuno has almost found the right balance of players for that formation as well. We've had spells under Nuno over the last 2 years where we sort of blowing hot and cold on both formations. But I think the last 3 games has shown, and obviously it'll tell for the last few games of the season. I think the last couple of games especially have shown that Wolves can rely on both formations when they need to.
Yeah, I think game management in the last season was poor because we dropped points against the lesser sides, and it was just screaming out for maybe some penetration or someone to get forward and break teams down. Whereas this season, I can't remember the stat, but we barely dropped any points against the bottom 6.
I think we lost 1 game compared to probably about 5 or 6 or something.
Yeah,
like that. We've got a really, really good record.
We just look solid. I don't know if they've been working on the shape and stuff whilst they've been back training, but it just looks so solid and so organised and compact. I know we'll come on to the Villa game in a bit, but again, we just completely nullified anything they were going forward and resorting to them playing long balls. And it's the same with Bournemouth as well. I know they're not great teams, but Nuno's set up in a way, and he wants to play his game whilst we can still be dangerous and nullify any threat that they've got going forward. And so far, it's worked an absolute treat. I just hope we can carry on what's been amazing form.
Yeah, agreed. And I mean, that moves us on to that Bournemouth game. Again, Wolves changing formation to that. It's almost as if I thought at that point we had a home and away tactic, even without the fans. Nuno changed the formation to reintroduce Adama into the starting 11, and of course he made a big impact in that first half. But Matt, I think like you said, the way that Bournemouth sort of loaded that midfield, we did see a lot more direct balls from Wolves, didn't we? We struggled to break Bournemouth down, I think, like we broke West Ham down for most of the game.
Yeah, I think playing the three midfield against our two, if you cast our minds back to Huddersfield last season, where they packed the midfield out, and Watford did the same earlier on in the season, it was just, some fans thought, same old story here, we're going to get overrun. And initially, I think we did a little bit. I think Bournemouth had the better of the middle of the park, but we grew into the game. But you can tell they were lacking in confidence, like snapping at things, and their expected goals. It's not something I usually look at, but their expected goals for that game was it like 0.16 or something, which is they just didn't have a sniff at all. But
0.06, I think it was. It was absolutely ridiculously low. It was
but yeah, I thought Neves and Matinho were fairly poor to start with. It was like, the play balls out wide and it'd be like 4 or 5 yards short or go straight out of play, and you just thought it's going to be one of them games. But then I think every first half for Wolves is pretty uninspiring, because Nuno likes to sound out the teams, get them settled in, and then go for its second half, and it's worked so far, so you can't really criticise it.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is mainly for the Villa game, but the fact that I was sort of looking on social media, and the amount of people, firstly moaning before the game about the lineup, and then secondly moaning at half time, and I thought, especially this season, we all know that Wolves aren't a first half team. We all know that we're not going to be 3-0 up against half time whoever we play against. So it did surprise me when I saw some of the comments, but yet again, Wolves second half FC against Bournemouth this time around, and it was that combo of Adama and Jimenez again. And I mean, Bournemouth defence, I think defensively they'll be disappointed about that, but another great cross by Adama and another beautiful header by Raul, Matt.
Yeah, it was a great cross from Adama. The turnaround, I know you and I have been banging his drum since he came, and a lot of fans are telling us we talk shite, which is a fair comment because we usually do, but we've been right about Adama. He's added that end product, and he's unstoppable. There is no way you can stop him apart from hacking him down. And you see Villa fans who say, well, Grealish has been fouled twice as more. That's because A, Adama tries to stay on his feet, and B, no one can get anywhere near him, so no one can foul him. But again, fantastic cross. He's getting his head up now. He's you can see before he'd just try and get to the ball line and whip a ball in, but now he sees no one's in the box and he slows the play down and he waits for someone to get up, and then he gets on the afterburners, drives, and gets again, the West Ham and the Bournemouth goal, the crosses were pinpoint. They were literally on a plate for Jimenez. Now, the Bournemouth one was he hasn't meant to head it where he headed it, because you can see like it goes off the side of his head, but it's an absolute bullet header, a proper number 9's finish. You don't really see a lot of those headers these days. But I think looking at Raul's performances the past 3 games, and him coming out in the media and stuff and saying, it's a dream to be linked with these clubs, etc. We don't want to hear it, don't want to see it, but I've said that I don't think he's world class. Well, I think the past 3 games, I may be wrong. He may be teetering on the edge of world class, because I think without him we'd really struggle. But he's just got absolutely everything, and we need to keep hold of him as long as we can.
Yeah, I mean, some of his movement and stuff, and I know on the YouTube videos especially that a lot of the Mexican fans are upset that either myself or on the fans' videos that we don't praise Raul enough. But I think it's got to a point now where it doesn't surprise us. Yeah. It's almost as if we're expecting it from Raul. It's not out of the ordinary. It's normal for him. So apologies if any Mexicans are listening, but that's genuinely take it as a compliment, because I think that's the reason why. As Wolves fans now, it's just something that we come to expect, that Raul drops a great performance. But even the last couple of games, he had quiet spells, but you just know if you can get the ball into him, into the area, he's going to be the man on the end of it. Especially aerially, he's a bit of a beast.
That's the thing I've been critical of him the most, though, me personally, is that he's got absolutely everything, but apart from the fact he's not ruthless in front of goal, you might need 2 or 3 chances to score. Well, that's just been pissed all over the past 2 weeks, because when he's had the chance to score, he's duly dispatched, and perhaps he's world class, and he might be one of those players you don't appreciate until he's gone. But the Bournemouth, how many headers has he scored? Like this, Arsenal, the Slovan Bratislava game, all similar.
Liverpool,
back stick, rising above. Yeah. the defenders. But it's not just that. In the Villa game, he picked the ball up in like 70 minutes and like split two defenders, and I don't know if he drew a foul or played someone through. It's like 6'3", he shouldn't be moving like that. You know, he's obviously not electric, but he's so intelligent with his runs too. He's just the perfect complete striker.
Yeah, I agree, and he has. It's what we have come to expect. You know, he's been with us now, it's coming up to 2 years, and yeah, he's been a fantastic player. And of course, the fact that, you know, he could genuinely be hitting by the end of the season, through including Europa League games, he could be hitting 30+ goals throughout.
I'm pretty sure he will.
Which is almost unheard of though for a Wolves player, isn't it? In top level.
Yeah,
you're probably going back to the 70s, like John
24
Richards.
goals and might be like 10 assists, something like that. So you're looking at
The
potentially over 40 goal contributions in a season. I know we've played a lot of games, but you got to look back to people like Bully and players like that for a Wolves player to kind of get anywhere near that. And again, it's a short division. He's doing it amongst the best. He's got to be. I know some of the older generation will probably be like, "Oh, what about Bully?" He's probably want to be one of the best strikers Wolves have ever had, if not the best striker, because he's doing it week in, week out in the best league in the world.
100%.
Be cool.
And you know, I mean, he's never gonna hit Bully's record, right? But in terms of Premier League goals for Wolves, he's probably he's gonna be well. I'd assume he'll be up there eventually if he's not already broke that record for most Premier League goals.
I don't think you're going to get many players who would beat 306 goals for a club, because unless they come through Barcelona and stay there for the rest of their career, they either move to bigger clubs or whatnot. I think those days are gone. So he's just, again, I'll hold my hands up, and I've probably been a little bit too critical of him, but it's what you come to expect. Like you said, see it as a compliment, because when he does turn out an 8 out of 10 performance, it's like, well, we used to 9 and 10s out of 10, so what's happened? So see it as a compliment.
Yeah, 100%. And that was obviously the second win for Wolves. I think the game against Bournemouth, Matt, it almost felt like that was the game after the restart. It just seemed a little bit more sluggish, that game, didn't it?
Yeah.
I thought personally,
very
anyway.
Slow starting. I think the second half was better. But that game last season, we would have lost or drawn. We wouldn't have got anything from that, or maybe a point. Now this season, we're playing ugly sometimes and getting wins. And I was saying to you before we came on the pod, this is the first time for me as a Wolves fan now where I feel like something is really happening, and we're going to establish Premier League teams, and I expect us to win, and I expect us to win comfortably. And I'm not thinking, if we beat Man United or a Chelsea, it's like, oh my God, like, this is massive, we're lucky. It's like, this is how good the team is. We're actually a really, really good side. And I don't think we give the side enough credit for how good they are, because it's all giddy and, we're on the up and it's brilliant. But take it in for what it is now, because Wolves at the minute are a fantastic side, probably top 3 sides in the country. So it's the first time I've ever felt like this as a Wolves fan, where I know something good is really going to happen, and I think it's only around the corner. If we can keep this current squad of players together going into next season, and if we get Champions League, we're going to be a force to be reckoned with. We could be a European powerhouse with that financial backing of the Champions League and stuff, but it's all if buts and maybes until we qualify.
Yeah, I mean, if Wolves do qualify for the Champions League, I'm sure we can have a bit more of a discussion about this shortly, but if I was thinking about this morning, I think if we get into Europa League, we should be okay with the squad that we've got now. But if we could qualify for the Champions League, it's going to be extremely interesting to see the players that Wolves are looking at, and the players that Wolves potentially will bring into the club. But of course, that is a discussion for later in the podcast, or possibly even another podcast, because I'm sure we could speak about that for at least forever. Exactly. I mean, it's still unreal to even mention Wolverhampton Wanderers and the Champions League in the same sentence. So fingers crossed. Who knows? I mean, there's a long way to go still, but it's definitely doable for Wolves, and that moves us on to the most recent game, the third game of the restart, a West Midlands derby against the Villa. Again, we did have to wait for this one, but in the end, Wolves got it, Matt. Leander Dendoncker, someone that probably got, not abused, but a few question marks over him starting the game against Villa. But again, I think Nuno got it spot on, didn't he?
Absolutely. And he was arguably, with him and Johnny, he was arguably the best player on the pitch. It was perfect. I know the game was shit and the standard wasn't great, but it was just the game plan was absolutely perfect. Dendoncker has just been told, just sit on Grealish. Wherever he goes, you go. If he goes for a piss, go and piss next to him. It was just, he completely marked him out of the game. Every time we'd come inside, he'd just keep forcing him back out the other side. And okay, Grealish went past him once or twice, but you bet your bottom dollar he won't go past him a third time, and he didn't. And you know that everything that Villa do is going to go from Grealish. A lot of Wolves fans will say he's rubbish because he plays for Villa. He's not. He's a very good player. And if you give him space and time, he will hurt you. And Wolves didn't, and especially Dendoncker didn't. And then that kind of just resorted then to them pumping a ball in the box. So against 3 6'3" plus centre-halves, it just didn't work. But that's the only thing they could do. And every time Villa did get the ball forward, we were back in shape, compact. 8 or 9 men behind the ball, and they just couldn't break us down. But that finish from Dendoncker on his weaker foot, I was not expecting that.
I know. Have you watched the BT Sport, like the pitch side microphones, and obviously there's no crowd noise or nothing, so you can hear everything. There's a little bit where I think Doherty makes a good tackle, and obviously you can hear Cody praising him. There's one when Jack Grealish with Neves as well. But then there's the bit with Dendoncker as well. I think he's screaming for Johnny to lay him off, and then I'm sure someone says don't shoot, and he fucking gets it on his left foot and blasts it across the
goalkeeper. That's Nyland saying no shots, the keeper.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought it was a Wolves.
Yeah. It's a great finish. He's just shifted it onto his left out of the way of Louise, and he just rifled it. I mean, there's probably only one place he could have put that, and he got it right on the money. But the work there from Johnny and him, that ball from Jimenez. So we talk about him being the complete number 9. I mean, what a ball in for Johnny, and for him to turn and lay it off. It was just brilliant. And Villa never ever looked like scoring. You still get the jitters because it's a derby, but I think we could have played all day and they wouldn't have scored. They've got no game plan. They look like a team already beaten, but we've gone there again. Might not have got anything from it last season. We've gone there and beat them, and it's fairly comfortable in the end.
I think, like you said, it's a fantastic point, and one that I've sort of said over the last week or so. The Bournemouth game especially, I think Wolverhampton Wanderers of the 2018-2019 season probably wouldn't have got anything out of that game. But the fact that we've grinded out those last 2 results, I say grinded out, we deserved the wins in both. But the fact that we've been able to get the 3 points just shows how far this team has come. I think last season, maybe 60, 70 minutes in, and it's still 0-0. I think the team just in the back of their heads thought, you know what, how on earth are we going to break this down? But now, after 50, 60 minutes, it's 0-0. Wolves are determined to find a way to break it down. And the fact that we've got that from an unlikely source, Johnny in the box laying off Dendoncker, the 2 furthest men forward.
Johnny on the spot, mate.
Jimenez and Adama almost taking up their positions. It's unbelievable. I watched that Johnny run, and I still can't believe it. Very Doc-esque run, wasn't it? When Doc gets the ball and sort of he picks up the ball on the right hand side. The next thing you know, he's on the end of a cross in the middle of the box.
I know. Johnny's attacking contribution goes unnoticed, though. There's probably not many fullbacks in the Prem I'd have over him. He's so consistent. He's so good. If his right was as good as his left, or his right as good as his left as good as his right, he'd probably be playing for Real Madrid. But he's that was a great run, and that turn as well to take McGinn completely out of the game. It was great. But I think it shows how far we've come, and I think a lot of the thing about breaking teams down has been the resurgence of Adama Traore, because we've got that outlet now, and if all else fails, just give it to him. And you saw when he was getting changed to come on, Tyrone Ming said to the fullback, he's coming.
Yeah, I saw
to
that
have
as
a
well.
player like that on the bench for us, for Wolverhampton Wanderers, where an England centre-half, established centre-half, thinking, shite, he's coming on. Tell you what, it's great.
I know, and it's still a crazy feeling, isn't it, for Wolves? I mean, some of the stats and stuff, especially, the back three, they've not had much to do, but the fact that they've been so solid now, the stats with Willy Bolly, Romain Sace, and Connor Cody now, I think it's 12 games they've played together, conceded just 6, and they've got 9 clean sheets out of those 12 games. That is at a top level in any league for any team. That is a ridiculous record, isn't it? 9 clean sheets in 12 games.
It's amazing. But having that back 3/5, it always gives you kind of like another lifeline when you get back in your shape. 'Cause it's so hard to break down, and a lot of the time it does take something special. You don't see many games where we've conceded where Bolly or Cody, especially not this season, has been like sucked in by a centre half, a centre forward coming short and the spacing behind. It very rarely happens. So they've been so solid. Bolly's been great, but I think everyone's giving Cody, Sace and Bolly the plaudits, but Cody's organisational skills, you hear it now that the crowd's on in there. He's just constantly on, and the balls that he plays out, they're just on the money all the time. And to have that kind of distribution from your centre half, it's mental.
I think the thing is with Cody, it's like his position. So he's almost like the middleman, isn't he? So whenever we want to restart a move, the ball normally goes back to Bolly or Sace, and then Cody makes the next decision. Yeah. So Cody's almost the man, in theory, that starts the moves. So there's the occasion where Bolly or Sace will play a really good ball. Obviously, Cody does the same as well, but Cody's always the man that starts the move and probably doesn't really get the recognition, like you say. But like his organisation skills, I think out of the three, especially judging on the first three appearances, I have seen Sace get a couple of bites on Twitter.
Stupid
people
tackles,
saying
though. He's just no need for it half the time.
So I mean, if Wolves made no secret of possibly looking at a centre back in the summer, do you think if anyone's going to be replaced, it's going to be Sace?
Yeah, I think Bolly's undroppable. I think any Premier League club would take Bolly. Cody's undroppable in the sense of what he brings to the team in terms of his leadership and how he's made that role his own. He's perfect for it. Plus his defensive contribution as well has improved this season. So I think it has to be Sace, because sometimes he does get turned, sometimes he gets a little bit too tight, he makes stupid decisions sometimes, but that's not saying he's a bad player. But if you had to pick one to go, it would be him.
Yeah, but I mean, he may, as I say, we've still got like 7-8 games left. He may well do enough, just to solidify that place. He's played there for Morocco for a number of years as well, and he's doing an okay job. He's what Wolves want, really, a good ball playing defender. He's that left-footed player to allow Bolly to switch to the right hand side for the first time, and I think that's almost a compliment to Sace, isn't it? Really, that the fact that Nuno has introduced him into that left centre back role, which Bolly. We just all thought Bolly was the man to play there, but I've noticed as well with Bolly, he's playing quite high as well.
I think it gives,
when we're actually, when we're sat on the halfway line, Bolly's actually like pushing the ball up quite nicely. He's so powerful on the ball.
That's what you want, though, innit? Especially if you're playing in a 3, you want your centre half to be bringing that ball out into midfield. But I think playing a left footer on the left and a right footer on the right gives you a lot more options as well. When people are pressing, there's always that that one option, and you can
open your body up
instead of someone coming inside to take the ball and press it off, where you're inviting pressure essentially. Then you get it on the outside, and you can do a bit more with it. So again, having that 3 at the back, there's always an option if you're being pressed, because you're not going to be pressing in 3s. You're usually going to have 1 up top or 2 up top. There's always a spare man, and if that's not on, there's always an out ball in Doc and Johnny. So formation will have to treat. It's probably a matter of time before people kind of suss us out, but I expect Nuno to keep evolving it anyway.
Yeah, and we can move on to the remaining fixtures now, really. Wolves, Arsenal, Wolves, Sheffield United, Wolves, Everton, Wolves, Burnley, Wolves, Palace, Wolves, Chelsea. All teams, I believe, that are more or less top half or, top of the bottom half. So there's tough games in there, definitely tougher games than obviously the first 3. But the most amazing stat out of this is that Wolves haven't actually beat any of them. It's been 5 draws and 1 defeat, obviously losing to Chelsea earlier in the season. But we drew to Arsenal, drew to Sheffield United. Oh, Everton, of course. Well. Sorry. And drew to Burnley and Palace. If we look at the first 3, Matt, Arsenal at home, Sheffield United away, and Everton at home, I think those 3 could have a massive effect, especially those first 2 against Arsenal and Sheffield United. Not just Champions League football, but ensuring Wolves get European football next season.
If we can put some daylight between us and Arsenal next game, I think we're dead cert for a Europa League place. But again, Arsenal, the 6s and 7s, they've been shit since the restart. No reason why we can't get 3 points. Again, pinching myself at that. But look at Sheffield United, they've really struggled. I think the crowd at Bramall Lane really gives them that 12th man, and without that, they're sinking like a stone. And I can only see that keep happening. They've probably overachieved anyway. Chris Wilder's done an amazing job, but defensively they're sound, similar system to us, really organised, really fit. But you like to think now there's no crowds, technically better teams are probably going to pick up more points, and I think that's probably where their limitations are. And yeah, if you blow out on cold like an air conditioning unit, don't they? It can be great one week and then be absolutely awful. So if you look at the first 3 games, people are saying, "Oh, I expect 9 points." No one expected it because it's Wolves, but we've got 9 points. So now we've set the standard. Need another 3 wins.
That would be good. Yeah, and I think if you look at Sheffield United and Arsenal, they're both on a bit, sort of ropey runs at the moment. And Everton, I know they've improved under Ancelotti, but they're still under a bit of pressure to try. I know their fans have got pretty big expectations for what they want to try and achieve with the club, haven't they? Like, yeah. So it's just trying. If we can, it's still crazy to, as I said, to be talking about the Champions League. But if we can, I think, especially against Arsenal, Sheffield United, I think 2 wins there, and I think you've more or less guaranteed it because you're that far clear of them both. Especially
because they're in and around us already as well. Sheffield United have got Spurs in the coming days. If they either get a point there, they got Spurs. They may have Spurs and they may have Man United. I can't remember. Again, if they get a point there each, and then we go and beat Arsenal and Sheffield United, that puts a lot of clear daylight between us and them. And Leicester are faltering. I've seen I've got quite a few Leicester fans on Twitter and mates. And they're like, "What's happening? Like, we don't play this system. It's not working. We need to stop playing wingers." And it's like, seems like they're on a bit of a rubbish patch. So we're only 3 points behind them if they don't win their next game or if they lose. And considering the gap before, we've closed that brilliantly, and I can see them dropping out the top 4.
It'll be interesting. I mean, obviously we're 3 points clear of United as it stands at the time of recording the podcast. We are 7 points clear of Spurs as well, and 8 points clear of Sheffield United. So, like, as I say, Sheffield United, for argument's sake, drop points in the next game, and then we beat them. You're looking sort of 10 points, 10, 11 points clear. We're in a good spot.
I'd take 7 points for the next 3. I know that's still unbeaten, but 6 to 7 points I think would probably be enough to see us get Europa League.
And what a journey that would be again. I mean, that will be interesting to see. Obviously, we know the Europa League's kicking off in August. It is in August, sorry. I think they're still umming and ahhing whether to let Wolves play at Molineux, which I'd expect would happen. I mean, do you have any... I know it's a bit of a side note, but would you have any preference on where Wolves play for that game, Matt?
It's got to be Molineux. Olympiacos will be doing everything they can to get that played at a neutral venue because they've already had the home advantage in their stadium. So I can't see why, in interest of fairness, or why we can't have it at Molineux. But I really think we can do something special in the Europa League. I've loved the Europa League this season. Obviously, me and you have been away together a few times, and being in the arse end of nowhere, drinking 50p points is just amazing. And just if you could kindly make sure that happens again next season, that'd be great.
I mean, how good would it be as well? If we got into the Champions League, we'd probably be 3rd or 4th seed, or probably 3rd seed, which would mean we're guaranteed almost a team that has won a league. Could be Barcelona, Juventus, PSG. I mean, how good of an away game would one of those be? That would be, a ridiculous.
I love Barcelona again. When we went to Spain, I love Barcelona as a city. So to go there again would be great. But as long as I know a bit picky, but I really can't be asked with like qualifying again for the Europa League because A, it hits you in the wallet, but B, it's just a little bit tedious. I either want group stage Europa League or even early qualification knockouts for.
I think if you finish, I think in the Champions League, if you finish like 4th, or it might be 5th in our case, if City get banned, I think I think you only have to go through one qualification round, I believe, and you normally, you will probably get a similar sort of team that we'd play in the sort of last round of the Europa League qualification. So still a tough game, but should be beatable for a team like ours. And as you say, I mean, it'll be very, very interesting to see. The fact that Wolves have still been able to sort of attract the quality of players that we have been. Imagine now you can say, right, Wolverhampton Wanderers, they've finished, in European spots for the last 2 years, and now in the Champions League. That's most players' dreams, isn't it? Maybe not the Wolverhampton bit, but to play in the Champions League would be, most players' dreams.
Yeah, and the kind of players would be attracting would just, it'd open that net far wider, and you could afford to put players on bigger salaries. Because I think, as we covered before on the channel, a player's salary is a bigger indication of how good of a player they are at the minute than the transfer fee that we pay for them. So I think it'd allow us to kind of break through what our salary cap is at the minute, but probably 120 grand a week, probably our highest earner, if that. You're probably breaking through the 150s, 160s, and when you do that, the type of players that you're going to attract, it's only going to make us better. And I'm just praying that we can do it, because we're in a great position in Europa League to kick on, because we've got Olympiacos. If we get past them, is it quarters, semis, and a final? Because it's playing over one leg, isn't it? So we could potentially be 4 wins away from winning the Europa League, which is absolutely mental. But then we've still got a great opportunity in the league to do something special. I just hope they pull through and do something special in either, if not both, because I don't know when the opportunity is going to be as good as this.
I mean, for most Wolves fans, I think this is probably the best football and best results-wise, that we've ever seen. I think we saw something about a record as well. The West Midlands teams, the highest points ratio, I think it was 65 points, wasn't it, Villa? Sort of late 2010.
I think, something like that. Yeah, when they had Martin O'Neill.
So I think we've got to get sort of maybe 4 or 5 wins out of our last 6 to match that, I think. So that is going to be,
tough.
Pretty tough. But I think it's going to be, with how much Liverpool have dominated the league, I think 65 points for any team would be very, very good. And I think obviously back then, I think the top 4 are all getting quite high points, or top 6 were getting higher points. So it will be interesting to see how we can finish the season. But if we finish on 65 points, that would be unbelievable. And that's that's putting a lot of pressure on Leicester and Chelsea, who of course have got a game in hand. But like you said, we're only 2 or 3 points behind.
They spent a lot of dough, even by those standards.
Yeah.
And they had Martin O'Neill, one of the reasons he left, because they didn't give him any more dough to spend. And we've not spent, I know we spent like 30 million quid on a striker, but we've not
That's still nothing though, is it? That's still nothing.
Yeah. No, not in today's
standards.
market.
Yeah.
I mean, look at players like Joelinton and Haller that cost more, and quite like Haller, but Joelinton's a bag of shite. It's a snip really in today's market, but we've not spent the 200s, the 300, the 400 millions like Man City did before they started to get it right. Like, we've gone about it brilliantly, gone about it shrewdly, economically, and hopefully that's going to stand us in good stead once the pandemic's over, because clubs are going to fall by the wayside, and clubs like Bournemouth, who spend like I think it's something like 88 pence of every pound of revenue goes into wages. Wolves are nowhere near that. So I know that they're in. We're gonna be in a really good stead once the pandemic's over in terms of finances. And if we are in the Champions League, sky's the limit.
I think like you say as well, Bournemouth. They've Jordan Ibe, £18 million a couple of years ago. He's been released. I think I saw a stat as well. They'd spent hundreds of millions on a certain amount of strikers who'd only got about 13 goals in over 200 games. Like
Afobe, Solanke, Wilson's fallen off the edge of a cliff, hasn't he? Really, in terms of his goal scoring, probably because Fraser's not playing. Who else have they signed other players? I mean, they let what's the name go, didn't they, to Sheffield United? Lys Mousset, who was very highly thought of at Bournemouth, and it shows. I mean, probably not as good as he was now, but he was on a real purple patch around November time. So Bournemouth I just don't know who's going to go down now, because they're all having a competition with each other. Who can be shit as possible? Who's the worst?
I know. Watford, West Ham, Bournemouth, Villa, and even Norwich. Norwich are done for. I think they've got to somehow get at least 8 or 9 points from their last few games, and that's almost half of the amount of points that they've had all season. So I think that'll be very, very difficult. But is there anyone, very quickly before we end, is there anyone out of those teams that you would nick out of Watford, West Ham, Bournemouth, or Villa?
I'd take Grealish at Villa. I would take McGinn if he wouldn't have been out all season. Watford is mainly Sarr. I'd even take Capoue, even though he's a little bit older, but he's brilliant.
Yeah.
Decore potentially. Norwich, the only player I'd probably take is Cantwell or Buendia, but again, I don't think they get into our team.
Yeah.
Bournemouth, Nathan Ake, get him in, but I think he's going to go to City. But again, apart from that, I don't see where any of them really fit into our team. You could take a player like Grealish, but I don't think Nuno would want someone like that who's could potentially be a divisive character in the dressing room. So I think all these players that are going down, Wolves won't be looking at. It's going to be the the ones abroad that we're probably looking at. I assume we've been linked with a lot of players like Corona and today, is it Otavio from Porto as well? Yeah. So probably those kind of players we're looking at. But I think their attitudes are probably a little bit better than those of the British players. As you've seen during the pandemic, we've had Gibbs White, Kyle Walker, Andre Gray. Who else? Who else has kind of like broken lockdown rules? You don't really see it. Yeah. Hudson-Odoi, Grealish. Yeah. So you've seen these players who are all English. So again, I think the attitudes are a little bit different to the foreign players. But yeah, I think they'll be looking. I think they'll be looking abroad for talent.
Do you think that we need to bolster with English players in any part of the team? I mean, for next season maybe. Champions League rules are a little bit tighter again. Someone like Danny Ings maybe, or is that not the player that you think Wolves would look at?
I don't know. I don't think they would, because he's got 2 glass knees. He's had a great season. I watched him against Watford the other day, and he was brilliant. Like, he was so good as a centre forward. But Southampton are going to want a lot of money for him. He's not going to come sit on the bench because he's not as good as Jimenez. I don't think they're the type of players. I could probably see someone like Cantwell joining, although I don't know where he wouldn't start for us. But he's young. He fills that quota. He's only going to develop. We're going to sell him on at a higher price, so maybe. But they are going to need to blood some English players through. Matheson will probably be another one of those. So, like I said, the restrictions are a little bit more stringent in the Champions League if we do qualify. Jumping the gun a bit, Dave.
I know. We're getting a bit excited, but But yeah, Matt, I think that's been all. Obviously, we've reviewed the sort of 3 games, given our thoughts. Obviously, on the rest of the season, we'll probably be back, guys. Maybe after another 3 games, that'll leave us sort of through the halfway point, or 2/3 of the way, through the restart. And fingers crossed that Wolves are still in another great position. We're right now knocking on the door for the top 4. Wolves potentially could qualify for the Champions League. There's a long way to go, plenty of points still to play for. But Matt, thanks a lot again. If anyone is looking for you on social medias, where can they find you?
They can find us at Talking Wolves or M Cooper Wright on Instagram and Twitter. And as we alluded to in the first bit of the pod, if anyone wants to come and write for Talking Wolves, who's got a background in writing or wants to get into it, or like I said, a uni student of journalism, come and write for talkingwolves.co.uk. A really good opportunity. So yeah, just drop either Talking Wolves or Dave and I a message. And we can have a chat about it. But once again, thanks to all those who have contributed so far. It's been a real good effort. And yeah, we can't thank you enough.
Yeah, and the same goes for the video content as well, guys. I've had a couple of people that do Wolves content. Reach out if you are interested or comfortable enough in front of the camera. Let us know, and we can get you involved. But as Matt said, you can find Talking Wolves on social media at Talking Wolves everywhere. You can find me at Dave as a Party on Twitter as well. But guys, you've been fantastic. Thanks for listening to the Talking Wolves podcast, and we'll be back very, very soon for some more. Thank you very much.